Mohamed Kudus and Frank de Jong are back in the equation for Manchester United. That's the latest news. But of course, earlier on today, we've got a lot to talk about, including the list of players that were put up for sale by Manchester United. The question is, who on earth is going to buy the likes of Harry Maguire, Anthony Elanga, Scott McTominay, Fred, name them. Welcome to the hotspot. My name is Webb. Well, sorry it's a bit late, but I've been disturbed by the technology today. I think yeah, it's 10 minutes past 10, but we'll be here. Okay, we will compensate for that lost time. But trust me, it's going to be a hot, long conversation concerning Manchester United and all that has been spoken about the club today, all that has been reported about the club today. We are going to come back and discuss all the stories in depth. Of course, the first man to drop in the comment section is Ken Katuramu saying give him another shot. Well, we'll be getting to understand who exactly has got to be given another shot. But the question is, with the spending spree that United, or rather selling spree that United is supposed to head into, if they are going to raise enough money to sign reasonable players, who on earth is going to buy some of the players we've put up for sale? That is the discussion we'll be having. But also, I'm asking, is Jadon Sancho a player who should be let go of, or do you think the youngster has got more time to rejuvenate his career? Give me your opinion on that as you see it down there on the bottom right corner on your screen. My name is Webb, guys. This is the hotspot. Now, let me just start by wrapping up today and the stories that came through. I think the first one that many of you will be happy about is that Manchester United finally signed a player. There is a done deal for Manchester United, and that's a little known, young boy. He's 16 years of age, born in 2007. Harry Amas, and he's a left back signed from the Watford FC Academy. He's believed to be a good prospect, and indeed Ten Hag was so intent on ensuring that he is signed. Of course, he's not exactly the head coach of the the youth team, but being the manager of the club, he oversees all and sanctions all transfers and new signings of players at the club. But that's not the big one that came through today. Earlier on today, it was confirmed that United is eyeing two strikers, Rasmus Højlund, and it was also confirmed that Randall Kolo Muani is a player that the club is totally linked with, and certainly interest is still there. But as it emerges from a few minutes ago, as I was laboring with the technology to come live today or tonight, I did see a story, an emerging story, that United has rekindled their interest in Frank de Jong, that is the midfielder from FC Barcelona, the Dutch-born international, the guy who John Mata, our transfer pretender, or rather transfer expert, who is the director of football, spent the most part of his first summer as the director of football, in the last summer that is in the window, chasing, but never to get him. But as it seems Bayern Munich and Manchester United are interested in the player, the FC Barcelona player, and there is hope that he could be priced out of FC Barcelona. That's the latest story coming through. We'll be talking about Frankie de Jong and whether he can be an option of a player for Manchester United. We failed when it came to the last summer. John Mata, as you'd expect, failed to convince him to join Barcelona. I think Mata, in a report we saw, sort of said the player was also asking for a lot of money and he wasn't willing to give away so much money. A credible thing if that's the case, but let's wait and see how serious and true these reports coming through. That's what's being reported as it is now. But of course, the other footballer United has been linked with, that's another footballer playing for Ajax now. That is Mohamed Kudus, the man born of Ghana. He's a certainly a promising young footballer, and he's one who is believed to be a major target for Erik ten Hag, as well as an attacking midfield option should he fail completely on signing Mason Mount, whose bid is still on table, and Chelsea are still mooting about it and thinking about it. But Mohamed Kudus is the other player that Manchester United has been linked with, according to reports that have just come through. Rem Johnson is on, saying what's the update concerning the takeover. I will be giving you that in a bit, but for now I'm just summing up the array of stories, so many stories that broke today concerning Manchester United. I've just told you the latest is that Frank de Jong is coming back into the equation for Manchester United as a midfield option, and United could be going back to Barcelona to try and see maybe if this time they could force a move through for him. But also I've told you about the Ghanaian Mohamed Kudus, who was exciting. If you do remember, he was a very exciting young player there in the World Cup, a good attacking footballer there, who certainly comes in there and would add some pace to the Manchester United team if they went on and of course got him. But let's get proper into the hot conversation tonight. The question is, like, from what you see, do you feel Sancho should be let go of? Because earlier on today, a list of about 13 players was released, and these are the players that are available for sale for Manchester United. And of course, we had broken that here. Of course, we spoke about Jadon Sancho being among those, and he was priced at that time at 60 million, and I was telling you it could go down up to 40, and I think I was right on the money, and that's exactly the valuation. But if you think about the players, and these are players I think none of us would be so surprised about. I think besides Jadon Sancho, who some would feel might have time and a future at United, the rest I think are players who are all saying they should be leaving. The likes of Anthony Elanga, players like Harry Maguire, players like Fred, players like Scott McTominay, Anthony Martial. These are the players that were put up for sale. Now the total money that United could get from the price tags that were attached to these players, the total money United could collect from all these players was about 210 million pounds. Now that is if each player goes for Man United's valuation. If each player is bought for the exact money that United values them, United could make about they could make a total of 210 million pounds. And I'm going to get you the proper list of these players. Here it is. So these are the players, some of the players. Harry Maguire priced at 40 million pounds. Jadon Sancho at 45 million pounds. Anthony Martial at 25. I think, guys, I don't know when I'll get my credit, but I was here, and I think these are almost the figures. I think the only player who I had struggle trying to get a figure for attaching a price to is Harry Maguire. But the rest, I think I was almost right on the money. Fred, 20 million. Of course, that one was announced earlier. McTominay at 40 million. Anthony Elanga, 20 million. Jordan Henderson, Dean Henderson, 20 million. And of course, the others, the likes of Eric Bailey, who is valued at about 2 million, negligible amount. But the total is about 210, or just in the excess, just those that I got there for you. And those are not 13, they are more than that, but these are the ones who could fetch some decent money. And the total money they could fetch is about 210 million pounds. Obviously, you don't think all those players would be sold in one window, in one summer window, unless you're Chelsea. And United is obviously not Chelsea. And but the question is, we want to sell all these players, but who is buying? That's the interesting question, because this would boost the United squad so much. And I've been talking about this, that United for the longest time has been sure of 120 million pounds available to spend. But we knew that if United went into the market and sold players, smartly selected players who they would add, who they would put out there on the market to sell, they could raise a cool 200 million. And I think this is what we see happening now. Now, if United got this money, how best would they be spending it in your view? Because you know the issues we have and the departments we have. But before even that, who is buying these players? Because you saw the price tags attached to them. So who do you think is going to buy? Is Saudi Arabia going to come calling and buy these players? But also, if you consider the people, and guys, my next video after this live will be one that gives you an understanding of who the man in charge of our transfers at Man United is. That is John Mata. I'll give you a proper brief of who he is and his history from Everton and everywhere he has been, for you to know him and his incompetencies, the transfer wannabe or transfer pretender, if I would call him that. But let me stick to this live. So he's got a role to do in terms of selling these players, because I remember a few videos ago I showed you how United had to sell to spend. to some extent. Whereas we knew that what is guaranteed was 120 million pounds for United to spend. I was telling you they needed to sell a few players to be able to get a decent amount of money, because 120 million in this window can only get you one player, Victor Osimhen. So I was saying they needed to sell to be able to spend. Now here we are confirming this, and we are seeing the list of players up for sale. But the question now is, who is going to sell these players? Because if you've got a director of football, John Mata, who can barely buy a player, because I do think it's easier, I think, guys, and you would agree with me, it's easier to buy than to sell. More so if what you're selling is not a hot thing. None of the players I showed you there are hot players. Maybe Jadon Sancho could be, because he's still promising. He's young and promising, not an entire flop, but still he's not hot. You wouldn't qualify him as hot. So I'm thinking, if John Mata cannot buy Mason Mount from Chelsea, a player who wants to leave the club, but he cannot negotiate and buy him for a decent, reasonable amount, how more difficult will it be for him to sell 13 players or even a half of them? Because for me, to be honest, it looks like this is a guy who can't sell drinking water in a desert. That's how bad I feel he is. So we have so many players to sell, but I feel like we are going to be we are going to sell them on a cheap. First of all, if we are lucky to sell any, but for me, it's important how we handle this sale, because it's the one that is going to decide which kind of players we sign. I told you how earlier, before it was confirmed, and by top sources, that United are still eyeing Rasmus Højlund. Now, Højlund is valued at about 70 million euros, which is a lot of money, and United are saying we are not going to go and overspend on a player who is not yet proven. But if United is going to go ahead and bid for a 70 million euros player, they have got to sell. They won't be relying mostly on the 120 million pounds they have, so they have got to sell. If United are going to go ahead again and bid for the Frankfurt forward, that is Randall Kolo Muani. Muani is priced at 100 million euros. That's 86 million pounds, and he's wanted by PSG, Bayern, several teams around Europe are asking about him. United has got to sell. So this selling actually might be the most important part of the United transfer window, because before we sell these players, you see the way Chelsea was fast in selling their players and dishing them out quickly to the Saudi clubs. Right now they can spend on any player they want, because they have beaten the financial fair play man. United as well has got a financial fair play man to think about. So we've got to be able to spend to sell these players fast. And with this, the Saudi market or the Arabic market, they are waiting with money. You would have felt it would have been an easy thing for whoever is in charge to do. That's the director of football, John Mata. But again, with the disquiets we have, justifiable disquiets we have about him, then you get to worry. And trust you me, if we fail to spend, if we fail to sell these players in time, we are going to struggle. We won't raise a nickel, we won't raise a penny, and certainly it's going to be a disappointing summer, just like the last one, where we only got Christian Eriksen for free. But for now, again, and as I'm talking about this, I'm giving you updates of what happened today. What we are getting, and now what we are gathering, is that Manchester United has failed to convince Adrien Rabiot, and I told you about this yesterday, to come and join Man United for free. Join them for free. Rabiot seems to have accepted to extend his stay at Juventus. So you can imagine, you can see how players are rejecting Man United. And in my next video, I will be giving you a proper expose of how John Mata has failed. But yeah, going back to what I asked there on the bottom right corner on your screen, do you think Jadon Sancho should go? I'm seeing comments here coming through. Ibrahim Ndoka saying Sancho is a good player, give him one more season. That's why I posted that, because I'm not exactly so sure he should leave. Because unless we are going to get a decent amount of money, 45 million is fair enough. Maybe 45 million pounds can get us Rasmus Højlund. But for a player you bought for over 100 million, you would have sold him at least at 60, 2 seasons later. So again, for me, I'm still there, and I feel like Jadon Sancho can turn around if you sign the right striker and you partner him with Marcus Rashford and the right number 9, Victor Osimhen, or whoever, even if it's Rasmus Højlund who came in. I feel like he might improve if he's got the right players playing with him up front. I also have disquiets about whether he should let go of or not. But again, Ken Katuram is clear. Tough to buy some of these guys. Yeah, and that's the thing. And you see, what's funny, and this is a classic proof of how bad these players are. If in this day and age, there is no United player who has been flattered by a Saudi club, it just shows you how bad they are. I think the only player they are waiting for is David De Gea. The only player they are talking about is David De Gea. Now, I saw the price tag of Harry Maguire of 40 million, and I'm thinking, who on earth in their right mind would pay 40 million for Harry Maguire? Which club in their right mind would pay 40 million for Harry Maguire? I think for me, that was being overambitious. Whoever set the prices was just being overambitious. Alfred Sendwe saying, what's the story about Greenwood? Well, Greenwood might be destined for loan, because what we got from it was reported by the Sun first, I think that was yesterday, that he put his apartment, rather his mansion, up for rent. It's a mansion in Manchester worth about £15,000 per month. So he put it up for rent in Manchester. Now that's a sign that maybe he's moving out of Manchester, because he's a Manchester boy. He's an academy boy. He's a Manchester boy. So by the time he puts his home up, and remember, just a few weeks before this, his team was putting Man United under pressure to make a decision on his future. Remember, he's got a contract that goes on until 2025, but he was not sure. For 18 months, he was not kicking a ball. So he returns to. We see pictures of him training, with a trainer, a personal trainer, all looking, all sorts of not right, not steady, hair disorganized, his body, his muscle lost a bit of flesh and all. So certainly you would expect, and like we are predicting here, that I think whereas Ten Hag wants him to stay, it's only right that a player who has not been playing football for 18 months cannot come back and slide back into the first team. But also you know that it will be a difficult atmosphere for him at Old Trafford if he just came back from what happened and he was reintroduced straight back into the first team. I think it would be difficult for him. Fans would bully him. Opposing and home fans alike would bully him, would boo him. So I think it's only right that he goes on loan. So I think the update is that he's going to stay as a Man United player, but at least he will first be sent out on loan, and it seems most likely to be in Italy or Spain. But Roma has been mentioned as one of the teams that are looking at him. So that's the update, Alfred Sendwe, on Mason Greenwood. Of course, he's also saying he can see Sancho improving. Ibra Mundoka saying Sancho is a good player, give him one more season. Yeah, Ibra Mundoka still saying he's talented. For example, his coordination with Anthony is powerful. I hope he will add fire this coming season. Yeah, I do strongly think that Sancho, if he's given an opportunity and given the right players around him, he can improve. If he can be a strong part of our forward line, he just needs the right players. Marcus Rashford is a good player. He needs a good number 9, which United has been lacking for a long time, and then him on the right. Forget about Anthony Dos Santos. Yes, Dos Santos can come in now and then, but I do still think that Sancho, I actually feel like Sancho can easily rejuvenate his career a lot more easily than Anthony Dos Santos would. Of course, Anthony has not played to the levels many expected him. You don't buy, he was bought for 75 million. That's a lot of money, but he has not played, I think, even 30 million pounds football. I think Sancho has a better chance to improve than Anthony, in my honest opinion. So, but regardless, if a club came and they would give us more money, that's why I'm saying the 45 million for me doesn't excite me to sell a promising young player. I would rather, if it were 60 million, I would say, okay, with 60, you can add on a few, pounds and maybe go try and bid for Victor Osimhen. But what is 45 million going to do? I think the only other players, if you look at the list I've shown you, the only other players here who can give United some money, I don't know, man. Anthony Martial would, but I mean, he's been injured. Even 25 million is not that much. Maybe we would be lucky to get a team that would give us 15 or 20. Sancho 45 you could get, or maybe 40, but 45 you could get. Scott McTominay 40 million. I feel a bit that was my evaluation of him, but again it was again you don't feel like there are so many clubs unless he's going to Saudi. But still, the Saudi clubs are not interested. They are not even flattering them. So it's a difficult and tight situation. The players United has, like Ken Katuram said, they are not exciting players. I mean, it's tough to buy some of these players for sure. So that's the tough situation that Ten Hag is in. And remember, now he has been cornered to a place where he has got to sell if he's going to buy his preferred targets. Now, speaking of preferred targets, United, I believe, to have held conversations with the representatives of Moises Caicedo. Remember, Chelsea had taken a cruising lead. At first, of course, it looked like Caicedo was headed to Arsenal. But somehow Chelsea came up and hijacked their bid. But now United seem to be back, jumping onto the boat. They have always been, interested. I think all elite clubs in Europe have been interested in Moises Caicedo. That's how good he is. He's world class without a doubt. But it seems now that United has had conversations, and the advantage for United is that this kid has made it clear before that he loves Man United and he would love to play for Man United. But also the fact is, for most of these kids from South America, for the Americas, Ecuador and Africa, most of these kids love Man United. Most of these young people love Manchester United. If United is in the conversation, you would expect a young player to somehow want to play for United. So that is an advantage. Well, Chelsea might be there, they have the money and all, but they're not playing in Europe. I don't think it would be wise. It would be wise of Moises Caicedo to leave Brighton, and you're trying to improve your career, and you go to Chelsea, which he's not going to be playing in Europe, regardless for whichever reason. I don't get why he would do that. So probably he felt maybe Chelsea was a better option than Arsenal. But if United comes into the conversation, maybe he can go for United. So there was talk of Caicedo and conversations, going on. I actually said it before. For me, if United had to spend only on two players in this window, they should go break the bank, spend on Victor Osimhen and Moises Caicedo. So Osimhen, you can bargain, whereas De Laurentiis is asking for 200 million euros. I think you can bargain and get him for like 100 million pounds plus maybe an extra 20 in add-ons. That would be a good bargain if you did not have John Mata in charge of your transfer and the bargaining, certainly, because he's proved how poor he can be as a negotiator. And like I said, my next video is going to be giving you a biting expose of who this man is, John Mata. But yeah, I do think for me it's a tight situation now for Man United. And as you can see, and I told you in a video earlier before, that how Ten Hag was pushed to invoke Plan B. Plan B has always been this: to sell players, to top up on your budget, and try to sign the best players. But which players are going to be sold to which club? Ibram Doka, but boss, is the takeover process going to yield soon? Well, it depends on how you define soon, because even next year can be soon. Soon can also mean the next hour or tomorrow. So it depends on how you define soon. But yes, I think it will be soon. It will be probably in a couple of weeks or months. But even months are made up of weeks. But yeah, it will be soon. For me, it's a matter of time. I watched an interview between a billionaire interviewer, David Rubenstein. He was interviewing the dad of Sheikh Jassim, that is HBJ. They call him the man who bought London. And they asked him about, of course, it was from a few months ago, but I watched it just a few days ago. And they asked him about Man United and, of course, this talk of buying Man United. And he clearly said for him as a person, he has never been interested in football. He was even against Qatar hosting the World Cup, but then he changed his mind after seeing the fruits of what happened after. He seemed to be a cool, honest guy. But reading between the lines and everything going on, these videos are coming out now and all. For me, I strongly think Sheikh Jassim is going to be taking over Man United, regardless the time. And as you would expect, like I keep saying, buying a football club is not an event. It's not going to a supermarket or on a stall and buy a mango or a fruit. It takes a process. It's a lot of processes you've got to go through. For now, what I know is that they are going through the processes for the Glazers to hand over properly to the new owners, Sheikh Jassim and Group and Co. So for me, that's what I think. So the takeover is no longer giving me headache. It will be officially announced when it is. What I know, at least is that for me, I don't need any other more confirmation than what I got from Rio Ferdinand. Guys, the players who played under Sir Alex Ferguson are very, if you pay attention, they are very professional players, most of them, if not all. They were well groomed players. They cannot just come out. A player like Ferdinand, who even captained Man United under Ferguson, would not just come out and just blabber statements just like that and confidently talking about the ownership. He wouldn't. He's a broadcaster, guys. There is no other better confirmation than that. He certainly would know, because I'm sure the legends of United are in some way involved in this bidding and all. They are involved. You cannot come from Qatar to buy a club like Man United without involving the legends of the club. It's impossible. Legends in such big clubs are so important in this crucial period like this. Maybe not all, but some. So that's why I'm sure, Rio Ferdinand would have some intel on what's going on. So by the time he came out and said it, for me, and all the signs around the takeover, I think, guys, we should calm down and just wait for Sheikh Jassim very soon. What we know is that this window is doomed. I think it's a gone window. But I like the fact that there are options, and Ten Hag is trying to be creative with his incompetent or incapable, director of football and CEO Richard Arnold. He's still trying to work with them and try to get a solution to see that this window doesn't, be as bad as the last, where I think we only got Christian Eriksen for free. So there is hope, and these are the things we are discussing here. So going back to, yes, the talking points. So you look at the players we have to sell, really, and they don't excite you. But I do believe we should be able to raise at least £60 million or at least £80 million from these players, and we should be able to raise £200 million. Now, with £200 million, United can have a decent summer. Pierre Luala saying, let them leave Sancho and Fred, because for them they can improve. Yeah, even Fred. And by the way, whereas Fred was priced at 20 million, I also have disquiets about selling Fred, unless you are sure you're going to get your Romeo Lavia, which Lavia now is a huge interest, has attracted a lot of interest from Liverpool. And you know how Liverpool go about their business. You saw how they snatched McAllister when we were there, confused, doing nothing. They snatched McAllister, World Cup winner. He's, I think, 26. He's young. He's ripe. He's world class. They got him for very little money, and we are there. So now they seem to be so focused and interested in Romeo Lavia from Southampton, and this boy is priced at about 40 million. Now Liverpool can obviously bargain and get him for a little less than that. Now 40 million for a player, this boy is good. He's very decent. He's a good footballer. For 40 million would be a good bargain. But the thing is, the lack of decision, the indecision at Man United is costing us a lot of things. And this is what I've been saying, that the people running Man United, I think, don't know the size of the club. If you go back to the story of John Mata and how he joined United, even Richard Arnold, John Mata joined with David Moyes from Everton in 2013. After Sir Alex Ferguson left, he joined. He was a sporting whatever. He did sports psychology or something at Everton, sports science and stuff. So he joins with David Moyes, but when Moyes left, he stayed, and somehow he grew through the ranks. So when Ed Woodward left and the structure of United was changed, he ended up becoming the director of football. For the first time, United had a director of football. Now, this guy has clearly shown that he can do nothing when it comes to, because the biggest job you've got as a director of football is to be at the helm of this period, the transfer period, which is the most crucial period of a football club. Football is played by players, and it's your job to recruit the players. So you've got to be a very good negotiator, a strong negotiator. You've got to understand the game. Of course, clearly Ed Woodward was all about the business. He didn't have time for the game, and he succeeded tremendously in terms of growing the revenue of United. So this guy comes in, they restructure the club, promote him to director of football, but he has proved that he can't do anything. He's a perennial underachiever. He's a pretender, a transfer pretender. You can use any superlative to describe John Mata. Now this is the guy we are we are relying on in such a crucial period when the takeover is of course confusing the love out of anyone who loves United. When there is no money to spend, you've got to sell players to buy. You will not, man. It's terrible that even free agents can snub us. It's a terrible situation that the club is in, but it's all because there is every wrong person in charge of this club. So the only right thing at United now is probably the manager, and you credit John Mata for that because he's the one who hired Ten Hag after falling out with his own man, Ralf Rangnick. By the time Rangnick left United, him and John Mata were not talking. They were not on talking terms. So it shows you the rot. You remember how Ralf Rangnick said that United needed what he called it, open heart surgery. We are seeing it now. Look at where we are. We've got about 13 players up for sale. We are Manchester United, but we cannot even attract a flutter from Saudi Arabia when they are all over the place spending money on players from all forms of clubs, from Ruben Neves, they are spending millions of euros on all forms of players, but none has come out to flutter except David De Gea, who is still undecided on whether he's leaving or not. So it shows you just how poorly run Manchester United is, but also the behavior now in this window, the lack of character, shows you how poorly run this club is. These guys run the club like it's a small club. I think it's too big for them, and it's making everything difficult. So I was having a chat with a great friend of mine, and we were talking about United and trying to dissect the issues the club has. But I think we all agree that the manager Erik ten Hag seems to be above everyone else. Everything else around the club. He's too good for the players. They are not up to his standards. I think most of the players, they are not up to his standard, and that's a huge problem. Now it is clear that even the people running the club, his bosses, would-be bosses, are also not up to his standard. He's world class, but everyone around him is not world class. So that's the open heart surgery that Rangnick was talking about. But people are laughing at the guy. But we are beginning to see the things here. And of course the same things Cristiano Ronaldo said when he left. So the situation is tight, and every day we continue to see how tight it is. Because why on earth isn't United bidding for a single world-class player? And you see, for me, it's not even about bidding and failing. It's okay, because we've even failed to get a non-world-class player like Mason Mount. So why on earth don't we have the character and confidence? You are the biggest club in the world, but you can't bid for the biggest players. We are shying away from conversations involving the biggest players, yet we've always been interested in these players. It shows you a lack of character, and it comes from the helm of the club. But again, you blame it on the Glazers and their John Matters of this world. Ibrahim Mondoka, about Scott McTominay, I think United does not use him properly. I can see he is hit when playing in his national team. I think United gives him no playing time as his position is competitive. He's not good enough. I mean, guy, I don't think a manager will not give you playing time when you're not good enough. They won't give you playing time if you're not good enough. But also for me, I have reservations about McTominay's lack of character. Remember, it was clear they wanted to let go of him, but in certain interviews was making statements like he does want to stay at Manchester United, even if he's not getting playing time. He just wants to stand and play for the badge. So, that shows a lack of character. Same with Harry Maguire. If you're a United footballer, you should be wanting to play every minute of even a friendly match. That's the character of a United footballer. That's the mentality. Go back and listen to interviews of all players who played under Sir Alex Ferguson. The Rio Ferdinands, the Roy Keanes, the Gary Neville's, name them, Dwight York, Andy Cole, all the players who played under Sir Alex Ferguson. The mentality of those players was for winners. In that, I had a story that Ray Ferdinand gave that was, I think, which goalkeeper was it who joined United? I am forgetting who it was. Was it Ben Foster who joined Man United, and they won the Carabao Cup or the whatever Carling Cup or something, a small trophy, and this Ben Foster was inviting players to go to a bar and celebrate the night out after winning and stuff. But all these Ferdinands were looking at him like, what's wrong with this guy? United had a Champions League game, I think, the following Tuesday, and they did not celebrate. Even when United won a double, I think United won a Champions League and a league, or the FA Cup and the Premier League in some season. There was no trophy celebration. United won a treble in 1999. I think there was no trophy parade through Manchester. That is the mentality of players who should be wearing this badge. This one. That's the mentality. They just think about competition. They are competitive. Now, you dissect this squad and you talk of a Scott McTominay and a Harry Maguire, the captain, who will tell you you're not good enough to even start as captain, but you don't even want to be loaned out to go and improve yourself to come back and start. You're saying, I don't mind even if I don't play, but so long as I'm at Man United. What on earth is that? So for me, I don't agree with you, Ibrahim Doka, about McTominay. I think it doesn't have the character to play for Man United. I think it's too soft for starters, and those are not players who play for the biggest football club in the world. We need world-class players. We need world-class players with a world-class mentality. That's why Cristiano Ronaldo couldn't play with these kids. He's used to playing with the generation of Sir Alex Ferguson, where you come out of a Champions League game, you win a game, and you forget about, you don't celebrate your win. You think about the next game. How are we winning the next game? So we need character in this squad. There is no character these days in football, probably not even just at Man United. But United has got to be the one setting the pace for the rest of the clubs. So for me, what Ten Hag is doing is creating that, rebuilding a culture, a culture of winning, a winning culture. And I do think he's going to be more ruthless, by the way, come next season. He's tough. He's proven that he can be tough. And that's the toughness you need. And for me, I just love whatever he's doing now. He's bringing back that character. And that's why you see legends of Man United who have been there and who have been to the gutters, winning, but still fighting even after winning. Keep rallying behind him. So you cannot succeed with the likes of Scott McTominay and that attitude. Fred, yes, I think Fred would be among the last players you'd want to sell, because unless you're sure you're going to get a backup player for Casemiro, I think Fred is the obvious backup for Casemiro. So before you get a replacement for him, you don't want to let go of him, because you might let go of him, you don't get a replacement, and that's risky. So for me, yes, Fred, I can say maybe Fred can wait. He's got a bit of heart. Well, has he had bad games? Yes. Is he world class? No, obviously not. But judging by what we have, he can stick around for a minute. Ibra, but which players should United sign to fit in the Champions League? For me, in this window, I do think Manchester United should sign Victor Osimhen at whichever cost, and Moises Caicedo. Even if they signed only two, David De Gea can stay. If you want, don't even keep Dean Henderson. Stay with De Gea as number one. Dean Henderson can stay as number two. But if you sign a world-class striker and a solid midfielder, I think United would look competitive. I'm imagining a midfield of Moises Caicedo, Casemiro, and Bruno Fernandes, and an attack of Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, or even if it's Antony on the other flank, and Victor Osimhen. I think for me, United would be fairly competitive. We would match in terms of engine battles, midfield battles. We would try and match Manchester City, because if you have Casemiro and Caicedo, and then you have Bruno Fernandes, those three can match Kevin De Bruyne and who else? Rodri, and who at times it's John Stones playing the midfield. I forget the other. Even if it were Bernardo Silva, even if he stayed. For me, I think we need to strengthen the engine, because as it is now, Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro end up playing out of position because of the weaknesses of the people playing around them. So they end up going all over the place, trying to save a game, but it's because the people around them are not good enough. And I keep saying it, if we are going to see Bruno Fernandes, because for me, Fernandes has not played to his full potential. Why? Because he has carried a lot of weight on himself. I think if Bruno Fernandes has got the right players around him, he can be as good or nearly as good as Kevin De Bruyne. Of course, not as good, maybe. Nearly as good as Kevin De Bruyne. If he's playing as a number 10, that's his position. But at times he's played on the right. The other times he's playing deeper as a number 8. I think he has played as a number 6 before. He's all over the place. And you cannot realize your full potential if you're all over the place. Yes, maybe you can be played out of position for a game or two when there is a situation. But you cannot be all over the place. There are no even patterns. There are no consistent players he's playing with. So there is no way that can work. But if you build a strong midfield, bring Caicedo, even if it's for 80 million, bring a world-class striker. That's the biggest problem for United. For me, who is this? I think it's Ibrahim Doka who asked, what players should United sign to fit in the Champions League? I do think sign Caicedo, sign Victor Osimhen, who is world-class. I think we can get Osimhen for 100 million and add some add-ons which are paid later, agree on a proper payment plan, and sign Caicedo for 80 million if you have, or 70 million. That's 170 or 180 million spent on 2 young world-class players. That's a long-term solution. Forget about Rasmus Højlund. Forget about whoever this overpriced Frankfurt forward, Rano Kolo Muani. Sign a proven world-class striker, Victor Osimhen, for whichever amount, and sign Moises Caicedo. Then work with the backline you have. Lichi is returning. Lisandro Martinez is returning. He's solid when he's fit. Victor Lindelof had picked up. I think you can develop him. And our backline wasn't the worst, to be honest. It was only too bad when Maguire was there later, in the evening of his time. But we can still work with it until maybe next. So as we wait for the money. But for me, the first priorities for United should be the striker, and he should be world class, not an overpriced 70 million euro, non-proven Atalanta, Danish trying whatever emerging prospect. No, Victor Osimhen is world class. United should be attracting world class players. Frank Stallion, what removes embarrassment is to stay in those people who bullies you. In my village, a youth was caught while having with a cow. He was beaten, but he didn't leave the village, and that became a proverb. Okay, I didn't get this, Frank, to be honest. I think this is now, you've termed me. I didn't get the whatever you're trying to communicate. Maybe you can simplify it for me. There is a rumor that Sosha Olegana is coming back. What position will he take? Assistant coach? Well, we've seen that rumor that when Sheikh Jassim is planning to bring back Sosha. But there was talk of him returning as a strikers coach. But I think really Benny McCarthy has done a decent job. I don't know why that would happen. But well, Sosha I think will eventually return at United, because first of all, I don't think Sosha was a complete failure at United. I think and he's a club legend. I think there is something he can do with Erik ten Hag. I don't know in what role. I may not be the exactly right person to answer that, in what role, in what capacity, but I'm sure Sosha will return to Old Trafford at some point, to be honest. I'm quite sure. I think he was also partly failed by the whole system, but also, okay, even his character maybe is not for a Manchester United manager. But he's not ruthless. If you're going to be succeed, the David Moyes of sorts. He sort of sells ice cream, but yet you've got to be ruthless at some point if you're going to succeed. But I think he can still contribute to the whole United project under Sheikh Jassim. But in what capacity? Maybe again assisting Benny McCarthy with the strikers, or as an assistant. I don't know. But yeah, he could return. Who knows? Ibrahim Doka, which one is your favorite starter, Bissaka or Dalot? Okay, that's an interesting one. Dalot can have his moments, but Bissaka proved that he improved a lot towards the end of last season. So I think Bissaka now still goes ahead of Dalot. But Dalot is a hard worker. In fact, that I was not surprised when his contract was extended by 5 years, because even Cristiano Ronaldo, as he was dissecting the issues with United in that biting interview with Piers Morgan, he made mention of him as the only young player he saw at United who has the character of a Man United player. He keeps working hard to improve himself, and that's hard work. They say hard work beats talent where talent sleeps. But even Bissaka proved that he can work hard, and he improved. Excuse me. But so yeah, But that's the situation with Man United, guys. So it's an interesting situation. And guys, let the conversation keep flowing. Thank you guys for sticking on from wherever you are. I do remind you to do subscribe if you haven't, because we're on the road to 2K, and yeah, we can build this road together. Now, I spoke about Kudus, and and how new reports are linking United to that Ghanaian guy who was exciting in the World Cup, if you remember, Muhammad Kudus. He's a good footballer, by the way. He's a pacey footballer. If he joined United, I think Marcus Rashford would be given good competition. He would be given good competition. I think he's decent. He's so pacey, he's energetic. He's a serious attacking midfielder who can play also well from the wide areas where Marcus Rashford loves to play best. So I think it would be a decent addition if he maintained that form. Do I think we'll sign him? Not so certain. Ibrahim Doka, if Jassim takes over, is it true that Mbappe is coming also? I heard about Sadio Mane. Oh, no, I don't think Mane will join United. I also don't think Mane's football is... I feel like Mane played his best football at Liverpool. I think he's the best for Mane is behind him, not ahead of him. And those are not players you want at Man United. You want players whose best is ahead of them. You want players who have got room to improve. I don't think Mane has got the motivation, the fire, the desire. Talented as he is, I think for me, he was the... I'll be torn between him and Bobby, but I think he was, for me, the most important player for Liverpool in their very successful reign. He was, for me, the most important player. I love Sadio Mane. When he was at Southampton, I was praying he joined United. But I don't think his best is ahead of him. I think he's gone. I think he's a done element. I don't think United going for Mane would be again us looking at ourselves as a small club. We don't go for reject. If he failed to perform at Bayern, what business does he have coming to join United? I think it's a poor man's mentality, and we don't want to be that club. We want to be a club that competes for the best. If the best footballers right now are Declan Rice, we should be up there in those conversations about Declan Rice. If it is Moises Caicedo, United should be there, looking for the best. That is what Manchester United is supposed to be, not rejects and guys who are trying to find somewhere to mint an extra pound before they age and retire. No. For me, it's not. Those are not the players for United. So Mane, good as he is, I don't think he's for United. Even if Jassim comes in, we should be talking of Kylian Mbappe, Victor Osimhen, Moises Caicedo, maybe Declan Rice, because we need some more English players in there. But Declan Rice, I think, is a good footballer as well. But yeah, okay, guys, keep them coming, and I do continue to subscribe. The question we're asking: should Jadon Sancho go? He had been linked to Tottenham Hotspur. Now, there's also more updates on Onana. What we know is that Man United did hold conversations with Onana's representatives. Chelsea inquired about him, but United seemed to be serious, and soon we might be hearing a bid tabled by Manchester United for the player. For the goalkeeper, that's the Inter Milan number 1. He's 27, he's ripe, he's of age, and like I've been saying, for me, I don't dwell so much on the goalkeeping position. Whether De Gea stays as number 1 or he doesn't and they sign whichever, I think United will have a good goalkeeper in between the sticks next season. They will have a decent goalkeeper. I think I have all confidence in whatever is going on. But my issue is in the people running the club, and in my next video I just hinted a bit about John Mata and who he is. I'll give you a proper brief of who he is for you to understand the man who we are entrusting with the big job of selling these 13 flops, getting us the money to top up and buy world-class players. So, but also I did tell you that Adrien Rabiot might be extending his, in fact it is believed he will be signing that contract extension on Wednesday. So that's how bad it is when it comes to our Rabiot situation and all the transfer talk. When it comes to some of these free agents who are there, oh my, how the mighty fall. That Rabiot, the Frenchman, cannot leave Juventus to join United. How the mighty fall. Glazers. Anyhow, let's go on, guys. I think I'm left with about, okay, I started 10 minutes late, so I've got an extra 11 minutes. Guys, let's use these ones. Let's maximize the remaining 11 minutes, because I do know all of you have got to retire and go to your offices probably tomorrow. But wherever you are, guys, tuned into the hotspot, I do remind you, we are here every day. We are live at Monday to Thursday. It's at 10 p.m. That's 22 hours. But on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's at 9 p.m. That's 21 hours. So make it a date, as we do come here talking Man United, the breaking news, but also in between there, we keep getting videos and talking about all the hot things that happen. There are some interesting videos for you to go back on this channel and watch. So don't just end it on the live. If you're new here, you can go there and enjoy the videos. We tell you about all the relevant topics. And the next video, like I promised, the one I'll be giving you next should be about these guys, Richard Arnold and John Mata, and who they are. These are the men entrusted in this very interesting, difficult, crucial period of the beloved football club Manchester United. And as it seems, it is not going anywhere. Things seem to be falling apart. Everything United touches turns into nothing, at least for now. But the guys in charge are somehow still there, earning millions of pounds. We will get to talk about them tomorrow, rather in the next video that I will be posting. You wait for this. Set your notification. Turn it on. Turn on the notification button from wherever you are, from the UK, from Jamaica, from Uganda, Kampala, from Kenya, from Tanzania, people in Abuja, Nigeria, people in Ghana, people in Zambia. I know there are people watching us from US, people in Leeds. I saw some in Manchester. From wherever you are, turn your notification on, because the next video is going to give you a proper insight into the guy who is running transfers at Manchester United. Very important for us to understand this, so that we have a proper understanding of what's going on and who is running things behind the curtains, but also who is failing the club. Who should we blame now? Of course, the biggest blame should go to the Glazers, but let's now take it down to the specific individuals who have been given a job to do but are failing left, right, and center. That's the situation concerning Manchester United. Who is buying? That's the question. We have at least 210 million pounds to fetch. There's Saudi money there. There's all these clubs wanting some Premier League stars in their leagues, but United has got about 13 of them on the market. None of them has been flattered by a single Saudi club. Who should we blame? Who is buying from United to rescue us from this lack of money, this low budget? Ibrahim Doka, does the takeover delays impact the transfers in as far as buying players is concerned? If so, will United find the best targets already taken? Of course, the takeover affects everything, because ownership is key. Certain things have got to be sanctioned by the owners. Transfer, like I said, the transfer period is a period where you spend money. You spend millions of pounds. That's a lot of money, by the way, we're talking about. Not a few dollars or a few pounds. It's millions of pounds. So the transfer window has got to be sanctioned by the owners. So if you don't have owners, clear owners, certainly it is going to affect you. But also mentally, who wants to play for a club when you're not sure who your owner is? Even for the players, the players are also fans. These players love the club. They also see what we see. They even see more. So even the players, in their minds, they are thinking. Even the manager, everyone is thinking, okay, who is coming in? Is this Sir Jim Ratcliffe? They are having these conversations with their kids, their friends. So the takeover affects everything. That's the fact. In terms of budget, it still does, because United has got debts. The hope is Sheikh Jassim will come in. He promised to clear the debt, and that eases a lot on the club in terms of the burden and how much more it frees them up as a club. It may not be immediate, because the financial fair play man, descends down on the 30th of this month, on the 1st of next month. So the longer it delays, so that's why we are saying that this window is done. The takeover might not have a clear impact in terms of directly impacting on this window in terms of cash, because it seems to be delaying. Even if it got done maybe mid next month, it would still be a bit late. The hottest players, you don't think that Moises Caicedo will still be in this uncertain situation 2 weeks from now? You don't think that Declan Rice will be there? These are the players United has been prioritizing. You don't think that Victor Osimhen will be there waiting? Of course, already Kim Min-jae, that one is not patient. I think he's really going to Bayern. You don't think that Harry Kane, maybe Harry Kane is desperate. He might be there waiting. Maybe Kane. You don't, but most players will have moved on. No one will be waiting forever. So that's why the takeover has the impact might not be direct in terms of cash, because in terms of the money to spend, it is there. It has been there. It was sanctioned that you have 120 million pounds and you can sell players and top up. So the money is there and also fit within the financial fair play. So the takeover affects, I think it's a more psychological. The effect of the delayed takeover is more psychological than cash. I think for this particular window. I hope I make sense, because even if Sheikh Jassim's money came in now today, it would not really come directly immediately into the club. He wouldn't just go and pull out his wallet or his credit card and just swipe, because there's a financial fair play. There are processes that will take time, not days, not weeks, maybe months. So I don't think the takeover affects the cash in terms of transfer budget now for this summer transfer, but the biggest impact it has is psychological. That the way you are here every day, you're thinking, is there something new? Are there owners? It is the same way the players are thinking. Frank Stallion saying, I have been trying to express more about Greenwood issue. Oh, okay, that's the analogy you are trying to pull. Well, okay, I'll go back to that post and try to understand it. But yeah, guys, that's the situation with the club now. 5 minutes to go, guys. I think you can just again keep dropping those messages. But just to sum up the news for you, United has signed a youngster, Harry. He's called Harry Samas, signed from the Watford FC academy. He's a left back. He's promising. He's English, and he seems to be one for the future. He's born in 2007. That's about 16. So he's a baby. Not so much to dig into him. The focus should be mostly on the players United is looking at. According to the transfer kingpin Fabrizio, he did confirm United are looking at Rasmus Højlund and the Frankfurt forward, that is Randal Kolo Muani, but the two are overpriced. Muani is priced at 100 million euros. Rasmus Højlund is at 70 million euros. Now that's a lot of money for two unproven players. They are prospects, but not world class yet. United wouldn't be spending on those. Then Onana, a bid is being prepared. Contact has been made. United is expected to proceed and make the bid probably this week. For Onana, who is now, I think, seems to be the chosen one to come in and immediately replace David De Gea. But we've got to make moves because Chelsea have inquired about him. Remember, Chelsea lost Eduardo Mendy. Pochettino made it clear that Kepa Arrizabalaga is his plan number one, but he would want to give him competition. So don't be surprised if they really go and bid for Onana. And remember, Chelsea has an advantage because of the already existing relationship between them and Inter Milan, the owners of Onana. Onana is priced at 42 or about 42 million pounds, which is about 50 million euros. Not a lot of money. United, if they badly want to sort a goalkeeping problem, I think that's money they have. I don't see why the money for Mason Mount is still on table. I think he should be withdrawn and he should be concentrating on solving bigger problems. I don't think a number 10 is United's biggest problem now when you have Bruno Fernandes, unless Ten Hag is planning to withdraw and pull Bruno Fernandes back to play number 8 closer to Casemiro, and then that's why he's trying to create space for Mason Mount, because he seems to be fascinated about him. But none of us would understand the fascination. So Saga Blow comment saying, will Ahmad remain with us? I think so. Frank Stallion, I don't think they can sell Ahmad. I think he's a decent young player. Frank Stallion, I think I read this. So guys, that's the situation with the club. What other update would you? I think that's it. I think there is no key update that I've left concerning what has come up today. But be ready for the next video dropping concerning the guys who are in charge. John Mata, the man in charge of the Manchester United transfer window. That's the video I will be dropping soon. I've got 1 minute, but let me use this minute to thank you so much for making time and of course sticking with me. For the lots of people, a total of about 186 people have been on this live, at least from what I see. It's amazing stuff. Thank you so much. Let's keep growing the numbers. If you haven't subscribed, it's so important, please subscribe, but also turn on your notification, so that whenever a video drops, you are alerted. Don't miss out on a thing, because there is a lot to follow concerning Manchester United. Latest reports linking us to Frank de Jong, a man with chest and chest and chest and chest. But John Mata and Richard Arnold spent more money on flights in that summer, traversing the whole of Europe, trying to sign talks and negotiations with Barcelona and the player de Jong, only to fail. But it seems United might be turning back to him. Barcelona could be willing to sell. That's the Dutch attacking midfielder. But he could be, I think, one of the backup options. That is, if the report that just came out earlier on is true. Mohamed Kudus as well from Ajax is the other player that United is being linked with. So those are the latest rumors concerning the biggest football club in the world. It's 10 minutes past 11. My name is Webb. Thank you so much, guys, for being on. Achire Ray saying, will Sabitzer stay? I think it's already, but I think Sabitzer will stay. I do think he might stay. But again, it's a bit early days with whatever is how the way things change at United. Very fast. You can't be sure who will stand, who will leave. But I think there's a lot of serious clearing that needs to be done. But we'll get to know exactly what goes on. But Sabitzer, I think, might be staying. He has not been so much in conversations of those who will leave. But yeah, that's Manchester United for you. That's the hot spot. My name is Webb. It's been an awesome evening or morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. I do thank you. Tomorrow will be another day. I will be here to give you more news, more updates, and of course, more analysis concerning Manchester United. For me, the dream window would be Victor Osimhen, Moises Caicedo. If there is no money, if there is more money, Victor Osimhen, Moises Caicedo, a central defender, and a goalkeeper. If you have to buy only two, they should be world class: Victor Osimhen and Moises Caicedo. That's my 2 cents, guys. Thank you so much. My name is Webb. Have a good night, and God bless you.